Hello there and welcome. Tonight we're drifting somewhere most humans have never been and never will. Far below the surface of the ocean, past the waves, past the light, and past the reach of sound, there is a world that exists almost entirely untouched. A place where time slows, movement softens, and nothing is in a hurry. The deep sea. We often think of Earth as well-known and explored. We've mapped continents, crossed skies, and walked on the moon. But the truth is, we know more about distant planets than we do about the deepest parts of our own ocean. Vast regions of the seafloor remain unseen. Entire ecosystems live and fade without ever being observed. And new forms of life are still being discovered in total darkness. For example, there are areas of the ocean so deep and still that a single footprint, if one could exist there, might remain unchanged for centuries. No wind, no waves, no weather, just quiet pressure and endless time. And somehow, that isn't frightening. It's comforting, because the deep sea doesn't rush. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't care if you understand it or not. It simply exists, calmly and steadily, doing what it has always done. Tonight isn't about learning every scientific detail or remembering names and numbers. It's about gently drifting through one of the quietest places on Earth. About letting the darkness feel soft instead of empty, and the unknown feel peaceful instead of uncertain. You don't need to stay focused. You don't need to imagine everything clearly. You don't need to remember a single fact. Just allow these thoughts to move slowly, the way currents move far below the surface, as your mind begins to settle and your body begins to rest. Before we start, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Now plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's drift into this amazing topic together. We begin by letting the surface drift away, not suddenly, but slowly, like the last ripples fading after a stone sinks. Sunlight still reaches us here, softened and scattered, turning the water into a gentle blue glow. This is the zone where waves calm, sounds dull, and the busy world above begins to loosen its grip. One interesting fact about this first layer of descent is that light behaves differently almost immediately. Red colors disappear first, then orange and yellow, leaving cooler blues behind. This natural filtering is why shallow water already feels calmer and more uniform than air. As we continue downward, pressure quietly increases, squeezing space without making a sound. Even a short descent adds weight to the water around you, a reminder that the ocean is not empty, but dense and present. Another calming truth is that most ocean life stays within this upper layer, where light supports drifting plants called phytoplankton. These tiny organisms produce more than half of the oxygen you breathe, even though they live far below the sky. Knowing this can slow the breath, connecting each inhale to a quiet process happening beneath the waves. Here, the descent is less about falling and more about easing away, as the mind begins to match the ocean's slower, steadier pace. It invites patience, soft curiosity, and a gentle sense of trust, allowing thoughts to thin out naturally, the same way surface reflections fade as depth quietly takes over without urgency, strain, or effort at all. As we sink a little deeper, the surface becomes a memory rather than a reference point. Sounds from above stretch and blur, because water carries sound faster than air, but with fewer sharp edges. This is why underwater noise feels distant and rounded, even when it comes from far away. One fascinating fact is that whales use this property to communicate across entire ocean basins, their calls traveling for hundreds of miles through layered water. The temperature here also begins to shift. Instead of changing with every breeze, the ocean holds heat steadily, creating wide zones where warmth fades slowly. This stability is part of what makes descending feel predictable and safe. The pressure continues to increase, yet the body, or even just the imagination, adjusts without effort. With every few feet, the outside world presses in evenly, encouraging stillness rather than movement. Another quiet truth is that the ocean absorbs human stress in a way land cannot. There are no sharp corners, no straight lines, no sudden stops. Everything rounds, drifts, and settles. As light dims further, the eyes stop searching for detail and begin to rest. The mind follows, letting go of small concerns, guided by the simple, downward motion into darker, calmer water. This stage of the descent often feels timeless, because the body loses ordinary markers of minutes and seconds, replacing them with a steady rhythm shaped by breath, heartbeat, and the slow pull downward that continues without demand or expectation in the quiet surrounding water. As we pass beyond the brighter layer, the water cools more noticeably, entering a region where temperature drops faster with depth. This boundary is called a thermocline, and it acts like a soft curtain between worlds. Above it, sunlight stirs warmth and motion. Below it, the ocean grows quieter and more consistent. One remarkable fact about this zone is how life adapts to fading light. Many creatures develop larger eyes, slower movements, and patient habits shaped by scarcity. Some create their own light through bioluminescence, producing gentle glows instead of harsh flashes. This light is not meant to illuminate the world, but to signal, distract, or soothe. The darkness here is not empty or frightening. It is full, layered, and alive in subtle ways. Sound becomes even more important than sight, yet everything remains calm and unhurried. Another interesting truth is that water pressure at this depth can already be several times greater than at the surface, yet it feels constant rather than crushing. The ocean does not rush, it holds. As vision narrows, imagination widens, filling the dark with soft impressions rather than sharp images. The descent continues, unbroken, inviting the listener to drift alongside it, suspended between curiosity and rest. In this space, the absence of brightness becomes a kind of comfort, allowing awareness to settle inward, where thoughts slow naturally and attention floats gently, unanchored by schedules, screens, or the need to respond to anything beyond the present moment below, held quietly by surrounding water and time. Descending further, we enter the vast middle waters, sometimes called the twilight zone, where day and night lose meaning. Here, one of the most calming facts reveals itself in motion so slow it is almost invisible. Tiny particles of organic material drift downward constantly, a phenomenon known as marine snow. It is made of bits of plants, animals, and minerals, softly falling from the surface to the deep. This gentle snowfall feeds countless creatures below and reminds us that nothing in the ocean is wasted. The pace of this falling matter is measured in days and weeks, not seconds. Watching it, even in the mind, encourages patience and surrender. Another quiet truth is that many animals here rise and fall each day in the largest daily migration on Earth, moving upward at night and sinking again by morning. They do this without urgency, guided by instinct and light. The water remains cool and steady, wrapping everything evenly. There are fewer visual landmarks, which reduces mental effort. Without edges or borders, awareness softens. The descent does not feel like going somewhere new, but like returning to a rhythm the body already understands, one shaped by slow movement, constant pressure, and deep continuity. It is easy here to imagine time stretching wide and forgiving, allowing worries to dissolve gradually, the way particles drift apart, leaving only a sense of being carried, supported, and quietly present within the vast, steady movement of water that surrounds everything equally, without judgment or demand at all. Going deeper still, the influence of weather disappears completely. Storms, winds, and seasons no longer reach this far down, creating one of the most stable environments on Earth. This is an important fact that often surprises people. While the surface changes constantly, the deep ocean remains nearly the same day after day, year after year. Temperatures shift only slightly, currents move slowly, and nothing happens suddenly. This predictability allows the nervous system to relax, even when simply imagining it. Another gentle truth is that the deep sea holds enormous amounts of carbon, helping regulate the planet's climate quietly and continuously. These processes happen far from view, without noise or recognition. The darkness deepens, but it no longer feels like loss. It feels like shelter. Without visual stimulation, attention drifts inward, guided by rhythm rather than information. Pressure is now immense, yet evenly distributed, creating a feeling of being held rather than pushed. The descent has become effortless, as if gravity itself has softened. Thoughts lengthen, pauses grow comfortable, and awareness floats between wakefulness and rest, carried by the steady, unchanging presence of the deep. In this depth, even imagination slows to match the environment, releasing urgency and expectation, allowing the mind to wander without destination, the way deep currents move endlessly, guided by forces so gradual they feel like stillness over long distances, shaping the ocean quietly, patiently, without ever announcing their presence or asking for attention, simply existing as part of a larger whole, balanced, calm, and enduring forever. Now the descent reaches a depth where silence feels complete, not empty, but full and soft. Here, the water has been undisturbed for centuries, sometimes longer, preserving a sense of continuity rare on land. One last calming fact rests in the stillness. The deepest waters of the ocean move incredibly slowly, taking hundreds or even thousands of years to complete a single global circulation. This means that the water surrounding you, in imagination, may have last touched the surface before recorded history. That thought can stretch perspective, shrinking personal worries gently. There is no rush here, no expectation of change. Darkness is constant, temperature is steady, and pressure never fluctuates. The mind, sensing this consistency, begins to mirror it. Breathing slows, thoughts soften, and attention drifts without effort. The descent does not demand focus, it supports release. In this depth, awareness becomes wide and quiet, held by the ocean's vast patience. Nothing needs to happen next. The water simply continues to exist, layered and calm, carrying its ancient memory forward as the descent flows on. It is possible to linger here mentally, allowing the sense of depth to cradle awareness, letting thoughts rise and fade slowly, unhurried, while the surrounding water remains unchanged, steady, and quietly immense, offering rest without instruction, as if time itself has loosened, stretching gently, giving space for calm attention to settle and remain suspended within a moment that does not measure itself by clocks, schedules, or expectations of movement, only by quiet continuity and presence. We continue drifting downward until sunlight becomes thin and delicate, no longer strong enough to shape the world around us. At first it fades gently, like evening light stretching across a quiet room, then it weakens into a soft gray glow before disappearing altogether. One important fact about this zone is that sunlight does not vanish all at once. It fades in layers, each one quieter than the last, giving life time to adjust. Colors lose their meaning here, and shapes soften. Without bright light, the eyes relax, and the mind stops scanning for detail. This is where darkness begins to feel less like absence and more like calm. Another fascinating truth is that many animals are perfectly comfortable without sunlight because they do not depend on sight the way humans do. They sense movement, vibration, and chemical signals instead. As light thins, sound and touch quietly take its place. The water itself becomes the guide. This transition invites the listener to do the same, letting go of visual focus and settling into a slower awareness. Without shadows or glare, there is nothing sharp or demanding. The fading light acts like a natural dimmer switch for the mind, encouraging rest without forcing it. Here, darkness does not arrive suddenly. It unfolds patiently, allowing comfort to grow alongside it, as the last traces of sunlight dissolve into a soft, even tone that feels steady and reassuring, creating space for calm attention to deepen naturally, without effort or concern for what has been left behind above. As we move deeper, the final traces of sunlight disappear completely, and the ocean enters a realm where day and night no longer exist. One remarkable fact about this region is that it makes up the majority of the ocean's volume, meaning most of the sea exists without sunlight at all. yet it is far from lifeless. Instead, life here follows different rules, shaped by consistency rather than change. Without sunrise or sunset, rhythms slow down. Many creatures conserve energy, moving only when necessary. This teaches a quiet lesson about rest and balance. Another gentle truth is that darkness allows sensitivity to increase. Without light, small changes become easier to notice. A faint current, a distant vibration, or a subtle shift in pressure carries meaning. The mind, imagining this space, can begin to tune into softer signals as well. Without visual noise, attention spreads evenly rather than focusing sharply. This creates a feeling of spaciousness and ease. Darkness here does not press in, it opens outward. It becomes a background rather than a barrier. The water remains steady, holding temperature and pressure constant, which reduces stress for everything living within it. For the listener, this environment suggests that stability does not require brightness or activity. Calm can exist without stimulation. In this lightless space, awareness is free to float, guided by quiet sensation rather than sight, settling into a peaceful rhythm that feels timeless and unforced. In this deep darkness, many forms of life create their own gentle light, a phenomenon known as bioluminescence. This is one of the most captivating facts about the lightless ocean. Instead of relying on the sun, certain animals produce soft glows using simple chemical reactions within their bodies. These lights are not harsh or constant. They flicker, pulse, and fade like slow breaths. Some use light to communicate, others to confuse predators, and some simply to find a mate. This living light feels more like a whisper than a signal. It reminds us that darkness is not empty, only quieter. The glow does not brighten the surroundings but creates small moments of presence within the vast dark. Imagining these gentle lights can be deeply calming, like watching fireflies on a warm summer night. Another important truth is that these creatures use energy carefully. Light is precious here, so nothing is wasted. This careful balance encourages stillness. Without the need to react quickly, movements become smooth and deliberate. The darkness supports patience rather than urgency. For the listener, this world offers permission to slow down completely. There is no expectation to see clearly or understand fully. The soft glow exists briefly, then disappears, leaving no trace. Thoughts can do the same, rising gently and fading without effort, while the surrounding darkness remains constant, steady, and supportive, holding everything without judgment or demand. As darkness deepens, the idea of distance begins to change. Without light, there are no visual markers to measure space, so the ocean feels both vast and close at the same time. One interesting fact about this environment is that many animals become smaller and lighter, reducing the energy needed to move. Some have soft, flexible bodies that drift rather than swim. This allows them to exist peacefully within the water, carried by slow currents instead of fighting them. Another quiet truth is that without sunlight to warm the water, temperatures remain nearly constant. This stability removes the stress of sudden change. The mind, imagining this steady environment, can begin to release tension as well. There is nothing to prepare for, nothing approaching quickly. Darkness becomes a neutral presence, not a threat. It removes distraction, leaving only sensation and rhythm. Without sight, the imagination fills space gently, without sharp images or urgency. This allows awareness to widen and soften. The descent continues, but it feels less like movement and more like suspension. The listener may notice breathing slowing, shoulders relaxing, thoughts becoming less structured. Darkness here is not heavy. It is open and forgiving, offering rest simply by being consistent. In this space, it becomes clear that light is not required for meaning or comfort. Existence continues quietly, supported by the steady presence of water, pressure, and time, all moving slowly together without interruption or demand. Deeper still, darkness becomes complete and unchanging, yet life remains finely tuned to it. One fascinating fact is that many deep-sea creatures have no eyes at all. because sight is unnecessary where light never returns. Instead, they rely on touch, chemical sensing, and subtle changes in water movement. This creates a world guided by connection rather than observation. Another calming truth is that without light-driven growth, life here moves at a slower pace. Growth, reproduction, and movement all take longer, sometimes years or decades. This slow rhythm reduces competition and stress. Nothing rushes. The environment rewards patience. The darkness supports continuity rather than disruption. For the listener, this suggests a different way of being, one where value is not measured by speed or visibility. In this depth, everything that exists does so quietly without needing to be seen. The mind, resting in this idea, may feel less pressure to perform or resolve. Thoughts can drift freely without needing clarity or conclusion. Darkness becomes a kind of shelter, protecting from overstimulation. Without contrast or brightness, awareness smooths out, becoming even and calm. The ocean holds this darkness effortlessly, maintaining balance over immense spans of time. Imagining the stability can ground the listener deeply, offering a sense of safety rooted in consistency rather than control, allowing attention to settle fully into the present moment without expectation. At this depth, darkness is no longer noticed as darkness at all. It becomes the normal state, a quiet background that supports everything without drawing attention to itself. One final fact emerges gently here. Even without sunlight, the deep ocean plays a vital role in supporting life above, cycling nutrients and storing heat and carbon over long periods. These processes happen slowly, invisibly, and reliably. Darkness does important work without recognition. This idea can be comforting. It suggests that value does not depend on visibility. As the descent continues, awareness may feel suspended, held in a space where nothing needs to change. The absence of light removes urgency, allowing the nervous system to settle fully. Breathing becomes easy, thoughts loosen, and attention drifts without direction. Darkness here is not something to move through, but something to rest within. It surrounds evenly, without edges or contrast. The water remains calm and steady, unchanged by surface events. Time stretches wide, measured in slow currents rather than seconds. In this space, the listener can simply remain, supported by the quiet presence of the deep. There is no signal to move on, no brightness ahead or behind. Only continuity, patience, and gentle existence, unfolding without effort as the journey flows naturally onward, deeper into the steady, lightless calm where awareness floats freely, unanchored, allowing rest to deepen while the ocean continues its slow, silent rhythm, carrying everything forward without sound, without strain, and without end. As we descend deeper into the ocean, sound begins to change in a way that feels almost surprising. At the surface, sound is sharp and busy, filled with echoes, crashes, and constant motion. But underwater, sound behaves differently. One interesting fact is that sound actually travels faster in water than in air, yet it often feels quieter. This is because water smooths sound, spreading it out and softening its edges. Sudden noises lose their sharpness, turning into long, low vibrations that fade gently instead of stopping abruptly. As depth increases, many surface sounds never reach this far at all. Waves, wind, and human activity slowly disappear, leaving behind a calmer acoustic space. This change invites the listener to notice how silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of gentler ones. The ocean replaces chaos with consistency. Low hums, distant rumbles, and subtle movements become the background instead of sharp interruptions. Without sudden noise, the body relaxes naturally. Muscles loosen, breathing deepens, and the mind stops bracing for interruption. Sound here does not demand attention. It simply exists, blending into the environment. This shift encourages a deeper kind of listening, one that does not strain or search. The silence of the deep is not empty or cold. It is rounded, steady, and comforting, like a blanket of calm vibrations that hold awareness gently, allowing thoughts to soften and drift as the surrounding water absorbs urgency and replaces it with a steady, peaceful stillness that continues uninterrupted. As we continue downward, the ocean grows even quieter, not because sound vanishes, but because fewer things are happening all at once. One fascinating fact is that the deeper you go, the fewer overlapping sounds exist. Near the surface, countless sources compete for attention, but in the deep sea, sound sources are sparse and far apart. This creates long stretches of near silence between events. When sound does appear, it often travels great distances, arriving as a low, slow wave rather than a sharp signal. This spacing gives the mind room to rest. There is no constant stimulation, no clutter of noise to sort through. Another calming truth is that many deep-sea animals rely on sound not for communication, but for awareness. They sense subtle vibrations to understand their surroundings, moving carefully and efficiently. This encourages stillness rather than activity. Without the need to react quickly, everything slows down. The listener, imagining this environment, may notice their own awareness becoming more spacious. Silence here feels wide and open, not pressing in. It allows thoughts to rise and fall gently without being interrupted. The ocean seems to listen as much as it sounds, holding space rather than filling it. This balance between sound and silence creates a rhythm that feels natural and safe. In the deep, nothing startles. Everything arrives gradually, giving plenty of time to adjust, relax, and remain present within the steady calm that surrounds all movement. At greater depths, the silence becomes more profound, shaped by pressure and distance. One important fact is that high pressure in the deep sea limits rapid movement, which naturally reduces noise. Fast motion creates sound, but in the deep, energy is conserved. Creatures move slowly, if at all, drifting with currents instead of pushing against them. This reduces friction and disturbance, allowing the water to remain acoustically calm. Another gentle truth is that without air pockets or hard surfaces, sound has fewer opportunities to echo. On land, sound bounces off walls and objects, creating constant feedback. In the deep ocean, sound disperses smoothly into open space, fading without reflection. This creates a sense of softness, as if noise is absorbed rather than returned. The silence here feels thick and supportive, not hollow. It holds awareness without demanding focus. For the listener, this environment can feel deeply reassuring. Without echoes, thoughts do not bounce around as much either. They appear, linger briefly, and then dissolve. The mind mirrors the environment, becoming smoother and less reactive. Silence becomes a partner rather than a void. It supports rest, inviting attention to settle into a slower rhythm guided by breath and heartbeat. In this depth, even internal noise begins to fade, replaced by a calm presence that feels steady and continuous, held gently by the surrounding water and its quiet, unbroken stillness. As the descent continues, even the faintest sounds grow rare. One remarkable fact is that some of the quietest places on Earth are found in the deep ocean, far from tectonic activity and surface disturbance. In these regions, the background noise level is incredibly low, sometimes quieter than any natural environment on land. This silence is not fragile. It is stable and enduring. Another calming truth is that the ocean itself produces a kind of constant, low-level sound through distant currents and shifting pressure. This sound is so subtle it feels more like a presence than a noise. It creates a baseline that the body can relax into, similar to a soft hum or distant breeze. Without sudden changes, the nervous system remains calm. The listener may feel a sense of being held within this quiet, supported by its consistency. Silence here does not isolate. It connects everything through shared stillness. Without loud signals, awareness expands outward rather than narrowing. The mind becomes less focused on details and more attuned to overall sensation. This encourages a meditative state without effort. The ocean does not ask for attention. It simply exists, allowing silence to do its quiet work. In this space, rest deepens naturally, guided by the absence of interruption and the steady, gentle presence of sound that never rises or falls abruptly, maintaining balance and calm across immense distances and long stretches of time. Deeper still, the silence takes on a timeless quality. One interesting fact is that sound in the deep ocean can take minutes or even hours to travel from one source to another, depending on distance and conditions. This means that when a sound is heard, it often reflects something that happened long ago. The present moment stretches wide, no longer crowded by immediate events. Another gentle truth is that many deep-sea environments experience long periods with no sound at all, creating uninterrupted silence that can last for days. This continuity allows life to exist without constant alertness. Everything settles into predictable patterns. For the listener, this suggests a world where nothing demands immediate response. Silence becomes spacious rather than tense. Without deadlines or alarms, attention drifts easily. Thoughts slow down, spacing themselves farther apart. The body responds by relaxing deeply, releasing held tension. The deep ocean teaches that silence is not something to fill, but something to trust. It holds space for awareness to rest without effort. There is no need to listen for danger or opportunity. Nothing arrives suddenly. Everything moves at a pace that allows calm adjustment. In this depth, silence feels complete and generous, offering room for the mind to wander gently without urgency. Awareness floats freely, supported by the ocean's quiet patience and the slow passage of soundless time that flows steadily onward without interruption. At the deepest levels, silence becomes so complete it feels like a physical presence. One final fact emerges softly here. Even the deepest ocean is not perfectly silent, but its sounds are so faint and low that they blend into a continuous background, almost indistinguishable from stillness. This creates one of the most calming sensory environments imaginable. Without contrast, the mind stops searching. There is nothing to anticipate, nothing to react to. Silence becomes a steady companion. The ocean holds this quiet effortlessly, maintaining it across vast spaces and long ages. The listener may feel a sense of deep rest settling in, as if awareness itself has found a place to pause. Breathing becomes slow and even. Thoughts lose their sharp edges, becoming soft impressions that drift through the mind and fade. Silence here does not signal an ending. It simply continues, open and unbroken. It allows awareness to remain present without effort, supported by the ocean's immense calm. In this space, nothing needs to be added or removed. Silence does its work quietly, smoothing inner noise and creating room for gentle attention to rest. The descent flows on, carried by this deep, steady quiet, as the ocean continues to hold everything within its vast, sound-softened embrace, offering stillness not as emptiness, but as a full and sustaining presence that remains unchanged while awareness drifts peacefully onward. As we continue descending, the water around us grows heavier, not in a threatening way, but in a steady, embracing one. Pressure increases quietly with depth, building evenly from all sides. One calming fact about ocean pressure is that it does not arrive suddenly. It increases gradually, giving life plenty of time to adapt. At just a few hundred feet below the surface, the pressure is already several times greater than what we feel on land, yet nothing dramatic happens. The ocean applies pressure smoothly, without pulses or shocks. This consistency is important. It means the environment does not surprise what lives within it. For deep-sea creatures, pressure is not something to fear or fight. It is simply part of the background, as familiar as gravity is to us. Imagining this steady force can be grounding. Unlike sudden stress, constant pressure allows the body and mind to relax into it. There is no need to brace or resist. The water holds everything evenly, removing sharp contrasts. As we sink deeper, pressure becomes a quiet companion, always present, never changing quickly. This teaches a gentle lesson about stability. Pressure does not have to mean panic. It can mean support, presence, and balance. The descent continues smoothly, with no sudden shifts, allowing awareness to settle. Thoughts may begin to feel contained rather than scattered, held in place by the surrounding weight. In this way, pressure becomes calming, offering a sense of being grounded and supported, rather than threatened, as the ocean continues to hold everything within its steady embrace. As depth increases further, the numbers associated with pressure grow large, yet the experience remains calm. One interesting fact is that for every 33 feet of depth, pressure increases by about 1 atmosphere, equal to the air pressure at sea level. By the time we reach the deep ocean, the pressure can be hundreds of times greater than what we feel on land. Still, life thrives here. This is because pressure is constant and predictable. Another gentle truth is that deep-sea animals are not crushed by pressure because they contain very little empty space inside their bodies. Without air-filled cavities, there is nothing to collapse. Their tissues are flexible and balanced with the surrounding water. This harmony removes strain. Pressure becomes neutral. The listener, imagining this environment, may find reassurance in the idea that adaptation happens naturally when conditions are steady. Nothing here is rushed. The ocean does not test limits suddenly. It allows time. The mind can respond in a similar way, releasing resistance when there is nothing abrupt to react against. Pressure here feels like a firm but gentle hold, not a squeeze. It creates boundaries without force. This can feel comforting, like being wrapped in a heavy blanket that encourages stillness. The deeper we go, the more consistent everything becomes. Pressure no longer feels noticeable. It fades into the background, allowing awareness to rest quietly within a stable, unchanging environment that supports calm rather than alarm. Moving deeper still, the idea of pressure becomes almost abstract. One fascinating fact is that the deepest parts of the ocean experience pressures strong enough to crush submarines that are not specially designed, yet delicate life forms exist there without stress. This works because pressure acts evenly in all directions. There is no single point of force. Everything is balanced. Another calming truth is that pressure at depth does not fluctuate. On land, air pressure rises and falls with weather systems, sometimes subtly affecting mood or energy. In the deep ocean, pressure remains constant day after day, year after year. This lack of variation creates one of the most stable environments on Earth. The body and mind respond well to predictability. Without sudden changes, there is nothing to prepare for. The listener may feel a sense of deep safety imagining the steadiness. Pressure here does not demand attention. It simply exists. Awareness does not need to track it. This allows focus to soften. Thoughts become less reactive, more fluid. The descent feels smooth and continuous, without edges. Pressure becomes part of the environment's quiet rhythm, like a slow heartbeat that never changes tempo. In this space, it is easier to let go of tension. Nothing presses unexpectedly. Everything supports from all sides equally. The ocean demonstrates that immense force does not have to feel aggressive. When balanced and constant, it becomes almost invisible, allowing calm to deepen naturally. As we settle into greater depths, pressure reaches levels that seem unimaginable, yet the environment remains peaceful. One important fact is that deep-sea creatures have proteins and cell structures specially adapted to function under high pressure. These adaptations keep their internal processes running smoothly without strain. Nothing is forced. Everything is adjusted gradually over time. Another gentle truth is that pressure actually stabilizes temperature and movement. High pressure reduces turbulence, keeping water layers calm and predictable. This reduces stress for everything living there. The listener may notice that imagining this environment brings a sense of containment rather than confinement. Pressure creates a clear boundary, separating this quiet world from the changing surface above. Within that boundary, nothing needs to change quickly. The mind can rest, knowing the environment will remain the same moment to moment. Pressure here does not rush thought or action. It encourages patience. Movements, if any, are slow and efficient. The body responds by relaxing into stillness. Awareness becomes steady, no longer pulled outward by urgency. Pressure feels like a firm presence that holds space rather than invades it. In this depth, it becomes easier to trust the environment. There are no surprises. Everything is supported by the same steady force. This allows the descent to continue effortlessly, carried by a sense of balance and quiet assurance that nothing needs to be resisted or controlled. Deeper still, pressure becomes part of the identity of the deep ocean itself. One remarkable fact is that some of the deepest creatures have never experienced lower pressure. For them, the surface would feel strange and unstable. This reminds us that comfort depends on familiarity, not intensity. Another calming truth is that pressure helps preserve the deep ocean over long periods of time. High pressure slows chemical reactions and biological processes, allowing environments to remain unchanged for centuries. This long-term stability supports calm existence. The listener, imagining this, may feel a release from the idea that constant change is necessary. Here, stillness is normal. Pressure maintains order without effort. It does not push things along. It holds them in place. The mind can mirror this stillness, letting thoughts settle without needing resolution. Breathing slows naturally. The sense of being held grows stronger. Pressure feels protective rather than restrictive. It creates a quiet separation from surface noise, both literal and mental. In this depth, awareness can remain focused without strain. There is nothing to escape and nothing to anticipate. Pressure becomes a silent guardian of calm, ensuring that nothing shifts abruptly. The descent feels secure, supported by forces that are immense yet gentle in their consistency, allowing attention to remain present and relaxed within the steady rhythm of the deep. At the greatest depths, pressure reaches its maximum, yet calm remains unchanged. One final fact rests quietly here. Even under the highest pressures on Earth, life persists peacefully, proving that force alone does not determine comfort or danger. It is the nature of that force that matters. In the deep ocean, pressure is constant, even, and reliable. This reliability allows everything to exist without fear. The listener may feel a deep sense of reassurance imagining this environment. Pressure does not threaten. It supports. It surrounds evenly, offering a sense of grounding that feels complete. Thoughts may slow to a gentle drift, no longer pulled by tension or urgency. The body responds by releasing effort, settling into a state of rest. Pressure here does not signal an ending. It simply continues, steady and unchanged. Awareness can float within it, held securely without needing to act or adjust. The ocean maintains this balance effortlessly, carrying its immense weight without strain. In this space, it becomes clear that calm can exist even under great force, as long as that force is predictable and constant. The descent flows on quietly, supported by the deep ocean's steady pressure, allowing awareness to remain relaxed and present, held gently within a world that does not rush, does not surprise, and does not demand anything beyond simply being there, suspended peacefully in the quiet, supportive weight of the deep. As we drift through the deep ocean's darkness, small points of light begin to appear, not suddenly, but gently, like distant stars waking one by one. These are living lights, created by animals that glow softly in the absence of sunlight. One calming fact about bioluminescence is that it is incredibly common in the deep sea. Scientists estimate that most deep ocean creatures can produce some form of light. This light is not meant to brighten the world, but to exist quietly within it. The glow is often blue or green, colors that travel farthest through water. Unlike artificial light, it does not strain the eyes or demand attention. It flickers slowly, pulses gently, and fades without urgency. Many creatures use this glow to blend in rather than stand out, matching the faint light from above to hide their shape. This creates harmony instead of contrast. For the listener, imagining these soft lights can feel deeply soothing. Each glow feels intentional, calm, and brief. Nothing flashes harshly. Nothing competes. The darkness remains dominant, with light appearing only as needed. This balance encourages a sense of quiet beauty. Bioluminescence here is not a spectacle. It is a subtle expression of life adapting peacefully to its surroundings, offering moments of gentle wonder without disrupting the stillness, allowing awareness to rest comfortably in the space between darkness and light as the descent continues smoothly and unhurried. As we move deeper, the glowing creatures become more varied, yet their light remains soft and restrained. One interesting fact is that bioluminescence is created through simple chemical reactions inside the body, producing light without heat. This makes it extremely efficient and gentle. No energy is wasted. Another calming truth is that many animals control their glow carefully, turning it on and off slowly rather than abruptly. Some use it to communicate quietly, sending slow pulses to others nearby. This form of communication is calm and deliberate, never frantic. The deep ocean favors patience over speed. The light here does not overwhelm the darkness. It complements it. For the listener, this creates a sense of balance. Light exists, but it does not dominate. It offers reassurance without stimulation. Imagining these slow pulses can feel like watching breathing made visible, steady, and unforced. Some creatures release clouds of glowing particles that drift gently, creating soft trails that fade naturally. These glowing moments are temporary, leaving the darkness unchanged once they pass. This reinforces the idea that beauty does not need to be constant to be meaningful. It can appear briefly, then let go. The deep ocean teaches that subtle light can coexist with rest, offering presence without demand, allowing the mind to observe quietly without needing to react or hold on as the journey continues deeper into calm. In this dark world, glowing light often serves quiet, practical purposes. One fascinating fact is that some animals use bioluminescence to gently attract food, luring smaller creatures closer with soft, steady glows. There is no chase, no sudden movement. Everything unfolds slowly. Another gentle truth is that other animals use light to avoid being seen. By glowing softly underneath their bodies, they cancel out shadows, blending seamlessly into the faint light above. This is called counterillumination, and it allows them to move peacefully without drawing attention. These uses of light emphasize harmony rather than conflict. Nothing here is aggressive. Light is used thoughtfully with care. For the listener, this suggests a world where adaptation happens quietly. There is no struggle against the environment, only cooperation with it. The glow feels like a natural extension of the darkness, not a disruption. It allows life to exist gently within deep stillness. Imagining this can ease the mind, encouraging acceptance rather than effort. Thoughts may begin to mirror this behavior, appearing softly, then blending back into awareness without friction. The deep ocean shows that even in darkness, life finds calm ways to connect, move, and exist, using light sparingly and gracefully as the descent continues onward. As the descent continues, glowing creatures appear less frequently, making each light feel more meaningful. One important fact is that the deeper you go, the more energy becomes precious. Food is scarce, and movement is minimal. This makes bioluminescence even more restrained. Light is used only when necessary and never wasted. Another calming truth is that many deep-sea animals glow for only a few seconds at a time, creating brief moments of beauty that fade naturally. There is no attempt to sustain the glow longer than needed. This encourages a sense of letting go. For the listener, this environment offers permission to rest without clinging to stimulation. The darkness holds everything gently, while light appears as a soft accent rather than a focus. The mind can relax into this rhythm, no longer searching for constant interest. Awareness drifts comfortably, supported by long stretches of quiet punctuated by gentle, fleeting light. These glowing moments feel like reassurance rather than excitement. They remind us that beauty can be subtle and temporary without losing its impact. In the deep ocean, light does not compete. It coexists with darkness peacefully, allowing both to remain balanced. This balance can guide the listener into a deeper state of calm, where attention settles naturally without effort or expectation. Deeper still, bioluminescence becomes even more refined. One remarkable fact is that some creatures produce light that is barely visible, just enough to signal presence without revealing location. This shows a deep sensitivity to the environment. Another gentle truth is that glowing light in the deep sea often moves slowly, drifting with currents rather than flashing quickly. This movement feels organic and unhurried. For the listener, imagining these slow-moving glows can feel like watching clouds pass across a night sky. There is no urgency, no demand to follow. The darkness remains steady, offering a wide, quiet background. Light appears briefly, then dissolves, leaving no trace. This pattern supports rest. It allows awareness to remain open without becoming alert. The deep ocean does not reward constant attention. It rewards patience and stillness. Bioluminescence here feels like a quiet conversation rather than a display. It exists within the darkness rather than breaking it. This reinforces the idea that calm environments can still be rich and alive. Life does not need brightness to thrive. It needs balance. The listener may feel a deep sense of ease imagining this world, where light is gentle, darkness is safe, and nothing rushes or overwhelms as the descent continues smoothly and quietly. At the greatest depths, glowing creatures are rare, but when they appear, their light feels especially tender. One final fact rests here softly. Bioluminescence in the deepest ocean often serves no clear purpose we can easily understand. Some glows may simply exist as part of the organism's natural state. This suggests that not everything needs a reason beyond being. The listener may find comfort in this idea. Light can exist without explanation. Beauty can appear without intention. The darkness remains unchanged, welcoming each glow without reacting. The ocean holds these moments patiently, allowing them to come and go. Awareness can do the same, resting within the steady calm. Thoughts may drift like faint lights, appearing briefly before fading back into quiet. Nothing needs to be held or followed. The deep ocean continues its slow rhythm, with darkness as the constant and light as a gentle companion. This environment supports deep rest, offering subtle beauty without stimulation. The descent flows on, guided by soft glows and long stretches of calm, allowing awareness to remain relaxed and open, held within a world where light whispers instead of shines, and darkness remains a place of comfort, balance, and quiet presence as everything continues to drift gently onward. As we drift deeper into the ocean, time itself begins to feel different, stretching and softening until it no longer presses forward. One calming fact about the deep sea is that many creatures here live at an incredibly slow pace. Food is scarce, so energy is carefully conserved. Movements are gentle, deliberate, and infrequent. Some animals may remain nearly still for hours or even days, waiting patiently rather than searching actively. This slow rhythm shapes everything. Growth happens gradually. Change unfolds quietly. Another gentle truth is that because the environment is so stable, there is little need to rush. Temperatures remain steady, pressure does not fluctuate, and darkness never lifts. Without sudden changes, life adapts to consistency. For the listener, imagining this world can ease the feeling of time pressure. There are no deadlines here, no sense of falling behind. Everything moves according to long, natural cycles. The mind may begin to release its habit of measuring moments. Breathing slows, thoughts stretch out, and awareness becomes less focused on what comes next. The deep ocean offers a model of existence where simply being is enough. Life does not hurry toward outcomes. It unfolds slowly, supported by patience. In this space, time feels wide and forgiving, allowing attention to rest without urgency, carried gently by the same slow rhythm that guides every creature living quietly in the depths. As we continue downward, the idea of lifespan changes dramatically. One fascinating fact is that some deep-sea animals live far longer than similar creatures in shallow water. Certain fish, corals, and invertebrates can live for decades, centuries, or even longer. This longevity is tied to their slow metabolism and calm environment. Without frequent stress or rapid change, their bodies age gently. Another calming truth is that many deep-sea creatures take years to reach maturity. There is no hurry to grow quickly. Life unfolds on its own schedule. This extended timeline encourages patience at every stage. For the listener, this can feel deeply reassuring. It suggests that growth does not need to be fast to be meaningful. Progress can be quiet and gradual. The deep ocean does not reward speed. It rewards balance. Time here feels less like a straight line and more like a wide circle, looping gently without sharp beginnings or endings. Awareness may begin to drift away from clock-based thinking. Moments blend together smoothly. There is no pressure to mark time or measure productivity. The ocean exists within long spans, where centuries pass as gently as minutes. Imagining this can help the mind loosen its grip on urgency, allowing attention to settle into a slower, more natural flow that feels steady and calm. In the deepest regions, life becomes even more patient. One important fact is that some deep-sea organisms grow only a tiny amount each year, adding layers slowly over long periods. Deep-sea corals, for example, may take thousands of years to form large structures. Each moment of growth is almost imperceptible, yet over time, it creates something enduring. Another gentle truth is that reproduction in the deep ocean is often rare and spaced far apart. Some animals may reproduce only once or a few times in their entire lives. This makes each event meaningful without making it urgent. The environment supports this slow pace by remaining stable and predictable. For the listener, this world offers a sense of relief from constant motion. There is no expectation to constantly produce or change. Being present is enough. The mind may begin to mirror this pattern, allowing thoughts to arrive slowly and linger without pressure to resolve. Time feels less fragmented. Moments stretch comfortably. The deep ocean shows that long lives are built not on constant activity, but on consistency and rest. Imagining this can help attention settle deeply, supported by the idea that life does not need to rush to be complete, and that slowness itself can be a form of quiet strength and stability. As we drift further, the sense of historical time becomes clearer. One remarkable fact is that some animals living in the deep ocean today were born before major events on land ever happened. Certain long-lived sharks, for instance, may have been swimming quietly when cities were first built or before entire generations passed above. This connection to deep time can shift perspective gently. Another calming truth is that because the deep ocean changes so little, these long-lived creatures experience a continuity rarely found elsewhere. Their environment remains familiar throughout their lives. For the listener, this idea can feel grounding. It suggests a world where change is not constant and disruptive. Instead, it is gradual and manageable. Awareness may begin to feel anchored in something larger than personal timelines. Worries tied to short-term outcomes may soften. Time stretches wider, allowing space for patience. The deep ocean holds memories silently, carrying the past forward without burden. Life continues calmly within this continuity. Imagining this can help the mind release urgency and settle into a broader sense of now, where moments are not rushing toward an endpoint, but simply unfolding gently, supported by a steady environment that has existed quietly for ages and will continue long after individual moments pass. Deeper still, even the idea of generations shifts. One interesting fact is that in some deep-sea species, generations overlap slowly, with parents and offspring sharing the same environment for many years. There is no rapid turnover. Life layers gently rather than replacing itself quickly. Another gentle truth is that because of limited resources, deep-sea animals often live solitary or sparsely populated lives. Encounters are rare and unhurried. This reduces competition and stress. For the listener, This environment can feel peaceful and spacious. There is no crowding, no constant interaction. Awareness has room to expand. Time feels less compressed. Without frequent events to mark it, moments blend together softly. The mind may begin to drift into a state where time feels almost suspended. This is not emptiness, but continuity. The deep ocean does not need frequent change to feel alive. It thrives on balance and patience. Imagining this can help attention slow naturally, without effort. Thoughts may become less frequent, appearing gently and fading without urgency. The deep ocean teaches that long life is supported by stillness, and that time can be experienced as something to rest within rather than race against, offering a sense of calm that deepens as awareness continues to drift. At the greatest depths, time feels almost immeasurable. One final fact rests quietly here. Some parts of the deep ocean have remained unchanged for millions of years, providing a stable home for life across immense spans of time. Creatures living here experience a world that does not hurry. There are no seasons, no cycles of light, no sudden shifts. Life unfolds slowly, patiently, and steadily. For the listener, this environment offers a profound sense of calm. It suggests that not everything needs to move forward quickly. Some things are meant to endure quietly. Awareness may feel deeply settled here, supported by the idea of long time and slow life. Breathing becomes steady, thoughts soften, and attention rests without effort. The deep ocean holds its inhabitants gently within this vast timeline, allowing existence to continue without pressure. In this space, time does not demand attention. It simply exists, wide and forgiving. The descent flows on, carried by this sense of deep continuity, as awareness remains suspended within a world where life moves slowly, time stretches endlessly, and nothing rushes toward an ending, allowing calm presence to remain steady and unbroken as the journey continues onward into quiet, timeless depth. As we finally reach the seafloor, the descent slows until it feels like it has gently come to rest. The water here is calm and unmoving, and the ground beneath feels ancient and steady. One calming fact about the ocean floor is that it covers more than half of the Earth's surface, yet remains one of the least disturbed places on the planet. Unlike land, it does not experience daily traffic, weather, or noise. Much of it has remained unchanged for thousands or even millions of years. This long stillness gives the seafloor a grounding presence. Another gentle truth is that sediment settles here slowly, drifting down grain by grain from above. This creates soft layers that build over time without disruption. Nothing happens quickly. Everything arrives gradually and stays. The seafloor does not demand movement or attention. It simply exists, wide and patient. For the listener, imagining this place can create a deep sense of rest. There is no need to float or descend further. The journey pauses naturally. Awareness can settle, supported by the idea of solid ground beneath. The ocean above continues its quiet motion, but here, at the bottom, everything feels held in place. The seafloor offers a sense of arrival without finality, a resting place that feels safe, stable, and quietly welcoming, allowing attention to relax fully into the feeling of being supported by something vast, ancient, and unmoving. The seafloor is not empty, but its activity is subtle and unhurried. One interesting fact is that much of the life here lives directly on or within the sediment, moving slowly or remaining still for long periods. Creatures like sea stars, worms, and shellfish interact gently with the ground, leaving faint traces that may last for years. Another calming truth is that because food arrives slowly from above, life on the seafloor adapts by conserving energy. There is no chasing or rushing. Movements are careful and efficient. This creates an environment where stillness is normal rather than unusual. The ground itself absorbs motion, softening currents and reducing disturbance. For the listener, this world offers a powerful sense of grounding. The idea of resting on a stable surface can quiet the mind, reducing the feeling of drift. Thoughts may slow, becoming heavier and more settled, like sediment finding its place. The seafloor supports everything above it without effort or recognition. It does not shift or react. It simply remains. This consistency can feel deeply reassuring. Awareness may begin to mirror this stability, settling into a calm presence that feels anchored rather than suspended. The seafloor becomes not just a location, but a feeling of rest, balance, and quiet endurance that invites the listener to pause comfortably within it. As we take in the vastness of the seafloor, its age becomes more apparent. One remarkable fact is that some areas of the ocean floor are among the oldest landscapes on Earth, shaped by slow geological forces over immense spans of time. Mountains, plains, and valleys exist here, but they change so gradually that motion is nearly impossible to perceive. Another gentle truth is that the seafloor plays a key role in stabilizing the planet, storing heat and materials that help regulate global systems quietly and continuously. These processes happen without sound or visible motion. The ground beneath is active, but never restless. For the listener, this creates a sense of trust. The seafloor does important work without urgency or pressure. It does not rush outcomes. It holds them. Imagining this ancient stability can help the mind release the need for constant progress. Time feels deeper here, stretching backward and forward beyond immediate concerns. Awareness may feel rooted in something larger and more enduring than daily thought. The seafloor becomes a reminder that not all movement needs to be felt, and not all change needs to be noticed. Some things work best when they move slowly and quietly, offering support simply by being there, steady and unchanged. The stillness of the seafloor is also shaped by distance from the surface. One important fact is that storms, waves, and seasonal changes rarely affect the deep ocean bottom. Even the most powerful events above often fade long before reaching this depth. Another calming truth is that sound, light, and temperature remain remarkably stable here. This creates one of the most predictable environments on Earth. The ground does not shake with activity or echo with noise. It absorbs and settles everything. For the listener, this sense of protection can feel deeply comforting. The seafloor exists beyond daily disturbances, offering a place untouched by surface urgency. Awareness may begin to feel shielded, held safely beneath layers of water that filter out intensity. The mind can rest here without needing to stay alert. Thoughts soften, breathing steadies, and attention relaxes naturally. The seafloor does not isolate. It supports. It creates a boundary that separates calm from chaos. Imagining this can help release lingering tension, as if placing worries gently down on solid ground. The seafloor becomes a quiet foundation, reminding us that beneath movement and noise, there is always a place of stillness that remains unchanged and dependable. At this depth, even time feels heavier, settling more fully. One fascinating fact is that objects resting on the seafloor can remain undisturbed for centuries, slowly becoming part of the environment. Shipwrecks, for example, often become habitats rather than ruins, blending into the landscape over time. Another gentle truth is that decay happens slowly here. Cold temperatures and low oxygen levels reduce the speed of change. Nothing disappears quickly. Everything transitions gradually. For the listener, this reinforces a sense of patience. The seafloor does not rush endings or beginnings. It allows processes to unfold naturally. Awareness may feel less pressured to move forward or resolve. The idea of resting within such a slow environment can encourage deep mental relaxation. Thoughts may feel less urgent, more spaced out, as if time itself has softened. The seafloor offers a place where presence is enough, where simply remaining still is a valid state. There is no expectation of movement or progress. The ground holds everything gently, accepting what arrives and keeping it without judgment. This quiet acceptance can feel deeply soothing, inviting the listener to settle fully into the moment, grounded by the steady, ancient calm beneath. As awareness rests fully on the seafloor, everything feels supported and complete. One final fact settles in quietly here. The seafloor continues to receive material from above every day, slowly building its layers without ever becoming overwhelmed. It takes what comes and integrates it patiently. This ability to hold and accumulate without strain is part of its strength. For the listener, this offers a powerful image of rest. The seafloor does not reject or resist. It receives gently and remains stable. Awareness can do the same, allowing thoughts and sensations to arrive and settle without effort. There is no need to float, no need to descend further. The journey pauses naturally in this place of grounding. The ocean above continues its slow motion, but here, everything feels still and held. The seafloor remains calm, ancient, and quietly present, offering a sense of deep rest that does not signal an ending, but simply allows awareness to remain settled, supported by the steady ground beneath, while time moves slowly and gently onward, unchanged, patient, and enduring within the quiet depths. Far below the surface, where light and sound have long since faded, the ocean is still quietly moving. One calming fact about the deep sea is that massive currents flow there invisibly, too slow and gentle to be felt, yet powerful enough to shape the planet. These currents do not rush. They glide steadily, sometimes taking hundreds of years to complete a single journey around the globe. Unlike surface currents driven by wind and weather, deep currents are guided by subtle differences in temperature and saltiness. This creates a slow, reliable motion that never stops but never hurries. For the listener, imagining these invisible rivers can feel deeply soothing. Movement exists without urgency. Nothing surges or crashes. The water shifts patiently, carrying warmth, nutrients, and dissolved gases across vast distances. This quiet circulation helps regulate Earth's climate, but it does so silently, without drawing attention to itself. The deep ocean shows that important movement does not need to be fast or visible. Awareness can rest within this idea, allowing thoughts to slow and stretch out, drifting gently alongside currents that move without effort or strain, reminding the mind that progress can happen quietly over long spans of time, without pressure to arrive anywhere quickly. As these deep currents continue their slow paths, they create a sense of connection across the entire ocean. One interesting fact is that a drop of water sinking in the North Atlantic may eventually rise in the Pacific centuries later. This global circulation links distant places through patient motion. Another calming truth is that because these currents move so slowly, they create remarkable stability. Temperatures change gradually, and conditions remain predictable for long periods. Life adapts to this consistency, settling into rhythms that do not demand constant adjustment. For the listener, this can feel reassuring. There is comfort in knowing that unseen systems are working steadily in the background. Nothing here reacts suddenly. Everything unfolds over long intervals. The currents do not compete or collide. They flow around obstacles gently, adjusting without disruption. This creates an environment where movement and stillness coexist peacefully. Awareness may begin to mirror this balance, allowing thoughts to move slowly without becoming stuck. The mind does not need to force progress. It can drift naturally, carried by a sense of gentle momentum that feels calm and reliable. The deep ocean currents offer an image of time unfolding patiently, without urgency, supporting a state of relaxed attention that feels both grounded and expansive at the same time. Deeper still, these invisible currents become even more subtle. One fascinating fact is that in some regions, deep water moves only a few feet per day. This pace is almost impossible to notice, yet it continues endlessly. Another gentle truth is that these slow currents help deliver oxygen to the deepest parts of the ocean, sustaining life far from the surface. This process happens quietly, without disturbance. The water does its work patiently, ensuring balance over immense spans of time. For the listener, this suggests that care and support do not always need to be immediate or obvious. Sometimes they arrive slowly, steadily, and reliably. Imagining this can ease the mind, encouraging trust in gradual processes. The currents do not rush to fix or change anything. They simply continue, knowing that over time, their gentle motion is enough. Awareness may feel less pressured to think ahead or solve problems. Thoughts can drift at their own pace, unhurried and unforced. The deep ocean does not measure success by speed. It values continuity. This environment invites the listener to settle into a slower internal rhythm, where time stretches comfortably and attention remains calm, supported by the quiet certainty that movement is happening even when it cannot be felt or seen. As the currents flow along the seafloor, they shape the landscape gently. One important fact is that these slow movements can carve channels, smooth sediments, and distribute nutrients without dramatic force. Over thousands of years, even the softest motion can create lasting change. Another calming truth is that these currents rarely change direction quickly. Their paths are stable, guided by the shape of the ocean floor and the slow rotation of the earth. This predictability creates a sense of safety. For the listener, this can feel deeply grounding. Change does not come as a surprise here. It unfolds gradually, allowing plenty of time to adjust. The deep ocean shows that transformation does not need to feel disruptive. It can be quiet and gentle. Awareness may begin to relax into this idea, releasing the fear of sudden shifts. Thoughts soften, becoming less sharp and less urgent. The mind can rest within a sense of continuity, knowing that even when change is happening, it is slow and manageable. The currents continue their steady paths, carrying water across the planet without effort, offering a powerful image of calm persistence that supports deep mental rest and an unhurried sense of being carried along. In the deepest layers, the age of the water itself becomes remarkable. One fascinating fact is that some deep ocean water has not been at the surface for more than 1,000 years. It has been moving slowly through darkness for centuries, unchanged by surface events. Another gentle truth is that this ancient water carries memories of past climates, holding information quietly within it. The currents protect this history by moving it carefully and slowly. For the listener, this can expand the sense of time even further. Personal moments begin to feel small within such vast spans, not in a troubling way, but in a comforting one. Worries soften when placed alongside centuries of calm movement. Awareness may drift into a broader perspective, where time feels wide and forgiving. The deep currents do not hurry the past away. They carry it forward gently. This invites the mind to let go of immediate concerns and rest within a longer view. Thoughts may become fewer, spaced farther apart, as attention settles into the slow rhythm of water that has been moving patiently for generations, guided by forces so steady they feel almost like stillness. At the farthest reaches of the deep ocean, currents continue their quiet work without recognition. One final fact rests here softly. These invisible movements help balance the entire planet, redistributing heat and nutrients slowly and reliably. They do not announce themselves. They simply persist. For the listener, this offers a deep sense of calm. Important things can happen without urgency or noise. Awareness can rest within this idea, releasing the need to monitor or control. The currents flow beneath everything, unseen and unfelt, yet always present. Thoughts may begin to drift like water itself, moving slowly without direction or demand. Breathing becomes steady. Attention loosens. The deep ocean holds this motion patiently, allowing time to stretch and soften. Nothing needs to arrive. Nothing needs to end. The currents continue quietly, carrying the journey onward through darkness and depth, supporting a state of calm awareness that remains suspended within slow, invisible movement, where time unfolds gently and the mind can rest within the steady flow without effort or expectation. Far below the surface, where light no longer reaches and movement has slowed, food does not arrive suddenly or dramatically. One calming fact about the deep ocean is that most nourishment drifts down gently from above, carried by gravity and time rather than speed. Tiny pieces of organic material fall slowly through the water, a steady snowfall known as marine snow. It is made of bits of plants, animals, and minerals that began their journey near the surface. This process never stops, but it is never rushed. Each particle takes days or weeks to reach the deep, moving at its own quiet pace. For life below, this slow arrival shapes everything. There is no hunting frenzy, no sudden abundance followed by scarcity. Instead, nourishment comes steadily, teaching patience. The deep ocean trusts this process completely. Creatures wait calmly, knowing food will arrive eventually. For the listener, imagining this gentle delivery can feel deeply reassuring. Nothing needs to be chased or forced. What is needed comes in time. Awareness may begin to relax, releasing the habit of urgency. Thoughts soften, drifting like the falling particles themselves. The deep ocean offers a model of trust, where sustenance arrives quietly and reliably, allowing life to remain calm and balanced within long stretches of waiting, supported by the certainty that nourishment is always on its way, even if it cannot be seen yet. As this gentle rain of food continues, it shapes the behavior of everything living below. One interesting fact is that many deep-sea animals have adapted to eat almost anything that arrives, because choice is limited. This flexibility reduces stress. There is no need to be selective or competitive. Another calming truth is that because food arrives slowly, meals are often small and spread out over time. This encourages efficient use of energy. Nothing is wasted. Bodies adjust to long gaps between nourishment without alarm. The environment supports this rhythm by remaining stable and predictable. For the listener, this can feel like permission to slow internal rhythms as well. There is no rush to consume or accomplish. Needs are met gradually. Awareness may begin to mirror this pattern, allowing thoughts and feelings to arrive without pressure to act on them immediately. The deep ocean does not hurry its nourishment. It allows gravity and patience to do the work. This creates a sense of ease. Life does not feel deprived. It feels supported by a steady, quiet flow. Imagining this can help the mind settle, trusting that what is needed will come without being chased, carried gently by time and stillness rather than urgency or effort. Deeper still, the importance of this drifting food becomes even clearer. One fascinating fact is that in the deepest parts of the ocean, nearly all food comes from above. There are no plants growing in darkness. Everything depends on this slow delivery. Yet life continues calmly. Another gentle truth is that some of this nourishment may take months or even years to arrive, especially in the deepest regions. This long journey does not diminish its value. When it finally reaches the seafloor, it is welcomed quietly. Creatures sense its arrival and respond slowly, without sudden movement. For the listener, this reinforces a powerful idea about timing. Not everything arrives quickly, but that does not mean it is absent. The deep ocean teaches patience as a way of life. Waiting is not empty time. It is simply part of the rhythm. Awareness may begin to feel more spacious here, less focused on immediate results. Thoughts can drift without needing resolution. The slow descent of nourishment mirrors the slow descent of attention into calm. Everything moves downward gently, guided by gravity and trust, allowing the mind to release urgency and rest within the steady assurance that support is always moving closer, even when it feels distant. As food reaches the seafloor, it becomes part of a quiet exchange. One important fact is that the seafloor acts like a natural pantry, collecting nourishment over time. Sediment holds organic material gently, releasing it slowly to creatures that live there. Another calming truth is that this process creates a sense of abundance without excess. Food is present, but never overwhelming. Life adjusts to this balance naturally. For the listener, this environment offers a sense of security. There is enough. There is no need to rush or hoard. Awareness may begin to feel grounded, like resting on solid ground after drifting. Thoughts settle more easily, no longer pulled by hunger for stimulation or answers. The deep ocean shows that nourishment does not need to arrive all at once to be sustaining. Small amounts, delivered steadily, are enough to support long lives. This idea can be deeply soothing, It encourages trust in gradual support rather than dramatic change. The mind can relax, knowing that needs are met over time, without pressure to constantly seek or strive. Everything here unfolds quietly, supported by a system that values patience, balance, and gentle accumulation. In some places, nourishment arrives in even more surprising ways. One fascinating fact is that large food falls, such as the remains of whales, occasionally sink to the seafloor, creating long-lasting sources of nourishment. These events are rare, but when they happen, they support entire communities for decades. Even this abundance is approached calmly. There is no frenzy. Life gathers slowly, sharing the resource over many years. Another gentle truth is that even these rare events are absorbed into the overall rhythm of patience. The deep ocean does not depend on them. They are simply part of a larger pattern. For the listener, this can feel reassuring. Even when something arrives unexpectedly, it is integrated gently rather than disrupting balance. Awareness may feel more at ease with the idea of change. Nothing needs to be dramatic to be meaningful. The deep ocean accepts what comes, whether small or large, and makes use of it over time. This reinforces trust. Life does not cling or panic. It adapts quietly. Imagining this can help the mind soften its response to uncertainty, allowing thoughts to arrive and be used gently, without urgency, within a steady environment that supports calm adaptation rather than reaction. At the deepest levels, nourishment continues its slow journey, unnoticed and reliable. One final fact rests quietly here. Even the smallest particles drifting down play a vital role, sustaining life in places far removed from the surface. Nothing is too small to matter. For the listener, this idea can feel deeply comforting. Support does not need to be large or immediate to be real. The deep ocean trusts this process completely. It waits, receives, and continues. Awareness can do the same. Thoughts and needs can be allowed to drift gently into awareness without being forced. The mind can rest within this trust, knowing that nourishment, in all its forms, arrives in time. The ocean holds this slow exchange patiently, allowing life to continue without rush. The descent flows on, carried by the quiet assurance that what is needed will come, drifting gently through darkness and depth, guided by gravity, time, and calm acceptance, supporting a state of rest where patience feels natural and trust feels steady, allowing awareness to remain relaxed and open as the journey continues onward, supported by the slow, reliable rhythm of nourishment falling softly through the deep. Far beneath the moving surface, the ocean opens into landscapes that feel timeless and still. One calming fact about the deep seafloor is that it contains vast plains, towering mountains, and deep trenches that have remained nearly unchanged for millions of years. These features were shaped slowly by forces so gradual they are almost impossible to sense. Underwater mountains, called seamounts, rise gently from the ocean floor, some taller than mountains on land, yet hidden beneath miles of water. Wide plains stretch quietly between them, smooth and expansive, covered in soft sediment that settles over centuries. Trenches sink even deeper, forming long valleys that descend farther than any land canyon. Despite their size, these features do not feel dramatic or chaotic. They exist calmly, shaped by time rather than violence. For the listener, imagining these ancient landscapes can feel grounding. Nothing here rushes or changes quickly. The land beneath the ocean moves on a scale far slower than human life. Awareness may begin to settle into this sense of deep time, where moments stretch wide and concerns shrink gently. These landscapes remind us that stability can exist over immense spans, offering a quiet sense of permanence that supports rest and calm attention as the journey continues deeper into stillness. As we drift across these underwater plains, their quiet endurance becomes more apparent. One interesting fact is that large areas of the seafloor are flatter than most land surfaces, formed by layers of sediment that have settled evenly over millions of years. Each layer represents a passage of time, building slowly without interruption. Another gentle truth is that these plains experience very little disturbance. Earthquakes and volcanic activity are rare here, and even when they occur, their effects are muted by distance and depth. The environment remains calm and predictable. For the listener, this sense of stability can feel deeply reassuring. The idea of a place that remains unchanged while time passes can help the mind release urgency. Thoughts may begin to slow, no longer pressed forward by the need to react or decide. The deep ocean floor does not demand attention. It simply exists, wide and patient. Awareness can rest within this image, feeling supported by something solid and enduring. The plains stretch outward quietly, offering space for the mind to wander gently without encountering obstacles or sudden shifts. This vast, even landscape encourages a feeling of openness and ease, allowing attention to settle naturally into calm, steady presence. Rising from these plains are underwater mountains that have stood quietly for ages. One fascinating fact is that many seamounts were formed by volcanic activity millions of years ago and have not erupted since. Over time, they have been softened by slow currents and covered by sediment, becoming part of the landscape rather than disrupting it. Another calming truth is that these mountains influence deep ocean currents gently, guiding water around them without turbulence. This creates pockets of stability where life can exist calmly. For the listener, these ancient peaks can symbolize quiet strength. They do not rise abruptly or demand notice. They remain where they are, shaped slowly by time. Imagining this can encourage a sense of inner steadiness. Challenges do not need to be dramatic to be significant. Endurance can be quiet. The deep ocean mountains do not compete or move. They simply remain, offering structure and balance within the vastness. Awareness may feel anchored by this idea, supported by forms that have persisted through immense spans without strain. The mind can rest, knowing that stability does not require effort when it is built gradually and held patiently over time. Deeper still, the trenches of the ocean floor reveal another kind of ancient landscape. One important fact is that the deepest trenches were formed by the slow movement of tectonic plates, a process that takes millions of years. These trenches are narrow, elongated valleys that descend into darkness, yet they are not chaotic or unstable. Another gentle truth is that despite their depth, trenches change very little over time. The environment within them remains consistent, shielded from surface events. For the listener, imagining these deep valleys can feel strangely comforting. They are places where movement slows even further, where silence and stillness deepen. The trenches do not collapse or shift suddenly. They hold their shape quietly. Awareness may begin to mirror this containment, settling into a feeling of being held rather than exposed. The deep ocean shows that even the most extreme landscapes can be calm when shaped slowly. There is no rush here, no sense of danger, only depth, patience, and quiet endurance. The trenches offer a reminder that depth does not have to feel overwhelming. It can feel protective, creating space for rest and reflection without pressure. Across all these landscapes, time itself feels different. One fascinating fact is that some features of the ocean floor have remained recognizable for over 100 million years. While continents above have shifted, eroded, and reshaped, the deep seafloor has preserved its forms quietly. Another calming truth is that erosion happens very slowly here. Without wind, rain, or ice, change unfolds at a gentle pace. For the listener, this offers a powerful sense of perspective. Daily worries feel small when placed alongside such vast spans of time. Awareness may expand, releasing the need to measure progress in short intervals. The deep ocean landscapes do not hurry toward an outcome. They exist within time rather than racing through it. Imagining this can help the mind relax its grip on schedules and expectations. Thoughts may drift more freely, no longer pulled by urgency. The ancient seafloor holds the memory of the earth quietly, offering a stable foundation beneath the moving world above. This stability can be felt as a quiet reassurance, allowing attention to rest comfortably within the idea of endurance and continuity. As we continue to drift over these ancient forms, everything feels settled and complete. One final fact rests gently here. The deep ocean floor continues to change, but so slowly that it feels almost still, shaped by processes that unfold over millions of years rather than moments. This slow transformation allows landscapes to remain familiar for countless generations of life. For the listener, this can feel deeply calming. It suggests that not all change needs to be noticed or managed. Some change happens quietly, without disruption. Awareness can settle into this idea, releasing the need to track or control. The ancient landscapes below offer a place of rest, where stability and time coexist peacefully. Mountains, plains, and trenches remain, holding their shapes patiently as water moves above them. The descent flows on gently, supported by the quiet presence of these enduring forms, allowing awareness to remain relaxed and grounded within a world that moves slowly, changes softly, and holds everything within its vast, ancient stillness as the journey continues onward into calm depth. Far below the surface, life unfolds without hurry, shaped by calm efficiency rather than urgency. One soothing fact about the deep sea is that survival here depends on conserving energy, not on speed or force. Food is limited, so creatures move only when necessary, avoiding wasted motion. Many animals drift rather than swim, letting gentle currents carry them instead of pushing against the water. This approach reduces effort and preserves strength. Another gentle truth is that deep-sea predators rarely chase their prey. Instead, they wait patiently, relying on timing and stillness. Ambush replaces pursuit. This quiet strategy creates an environment where sudden action is rare. For the listener, imagining this way of life can feel deeply calming. There is no constant alertness, no pressure to react quickly. Everything moves according to need, not impulse. The deep ocean does not reward aggression. It rewards balance. Awareness may begin to slow naturally, releasing the habit of rushing thoughts. Breathing steadies, and attention settles into a rhythm shaped by patience. Life here shows that efficiency can be peaceful, and that survival does not require constant effort. It requires awareness, restraint, and trust in timing, allowing existence to unfold gently within long stretches of calm and stillness. As we continue observing this quiet world, the absence of urgency becomes even clearer. One interesting fact is that many deep-sea animals have extremely slow metabolisms, meaning their bodies use energy at a reduced rate. This allows them to survive long periods without food. Another calming truth is that because energy is precious, behaviors are simplified. There are fewer displays, fewer conflicts, and fewer risks taken. Life becomes focused on essentials. For the listener, this simplicity can feel reassuring. It suggests that not everything needs to be done quickly or intensely to be effective. The deep ocean values efficiency over excess. Awareness may begin to shed unnecessary tension, letting go of mental clutter. Thoughts become fewer, more deliberate. The environment supports this by remaining stable and predictable. Without sudden changes, there is no need to stay on edge. Life flows quietly, guided by rhythms that favor rest and conservation. Imagining this can help the mind relax into a more measured pace, where action arises only when needed and stillness is not seen as inactivity, but as a natural and valuable state of being. In this calm environment, even competition looks different. One fascinating fact is that many deep-sea species avoid direct competition by occupying slightly different niches, reducing conflict. This separation allows life to coexist peacefully within limited resources. Another gentle truth is that interactions are often brief and subdued. Encounters happen slowly, without dramatic displays. For the listener, this world offers a vision of coexistence without constant struggle. The deep ocean does not amplify conflict. It softens it. Awareness may begin to feel less defensive, less prepared for confrontation. Thoughts loosen their grip, no longer scanning for problems. The mind can rest within the idea that not every challenge requires immediate response. Life here teaches that calm observation often works better than forceful action. Efficiency comes from knowing when to act and when to remain still. This balance creates a sense of ease that spreads through awareness, encouraging patience and quiet confidence. The deep sea demonstrates that survival can be gentle, rooted in understanding and restraint rather than speed or aggression. As depth increases, the rhythm of life slows even further. One important fact is that many deep-sea creatures grow slowly and reproduce infrequently, spreading their energy across long lifespans. This reduces strain on the body and environment. Another calming truth is that because the surroundings change so little, there is no need for rapid adaptation. Stability allows life to settle into predictable patterns. For the listener, this can feel deeply comforting. There is no pressure to constantly adjust or improve. Awareness may begin to accept the present moment more fully. The deep ocean does not push life forward aggressively. It allows it to unfold naturally. This approach encourages rest and reflection. Thoughts may become less hurried, spacing themselves farther apart. The mind can linger gently on sensations without rushing to the next idea. The deep sea offers a model of existence where endurance comes from calm consistency, not constant effort. Imagining this can help attention settle into a steady, unforced presence that feels sustainable and supportive. Deeper still, the lack of urgency becomes a defining feature. One fascinating fact is that many deep-sea animals respond slowly even to threats, because sudden movement costs too much energy. Instead, they rely on camouflage, stillness, or gentle withdrawal. Another gentle truth is that fear-driven reactions are rare here. The environment does not demand constant vigilance. For the listener, this suggests a world where safety comes from awareness rather than alarm. The mind may begin to release its habit of bracing for impact. Without urgency, attention softens. Breathing becomes deeper and more even. The deep ocean teaches that calm can be protective. By remaining still and efficient, life avoids unnecessary risk. This lesson can feel grounding, encouraging the listener to trust stillness as a valid response. Awareness can remain open and relaxed, knowing that not every situation requires immediate action. The deep sea shows that survival can be quiet and measured, supported by patience rather than haste. At the greatest depths, life without urgency feels complete and natural. One final fact rests gently here. Even under extreme conditions, deep-sea creatures survive by minimizing effort and maximizing balance. They do not fight their environment. They adapt calmly to it. For the listener, this offers a powerful sense of ease. Life does not have to be rushed to be successful. Awareness can rest within this understanding, releasing the pressure to constantly move or decide. The deep ocean holds this calm efficiency steadily, allowing life to continue without stress. Thoughts may slow to a gentle drift, appearing and fading without urgency. Attention remains present, supported by the quiet confidence that comes from balance and restraint. The journey flows on through this peaceful world, where survival is shaped by patience, efficiency, and calm acceptance, allowing awareness to remain relaxed and grounded within a rhythm that values stillness as much as action and quiet presence as much as movement, continuing onward without hurry or demand. Even though the deep sea is always dark, there is still a sense of night that settles in, a deeper quiet that feels familiar and comforting. One calming fact about the ocean is that many deep-sea creatures follow subtle daily rhythms, even without sunlight. Changes in distant surface activity, faint shifts in water movement, and gentle cycles in food availability create a soft sense of timing. When the surface world turns toward night, everything above slows, and that calm filters downward. The deep sea responds by becoming even quieter. Movement lessens, and long pauses stretch further apart. For the listener, this reframing of night can feel reassuring. Night here is not about darkness increasing, but about activity easing. It is a cue for rest rather than fear. Awareness may begin to recognize this signal naturally. Breathing slows, muscles soften, and attention turns inward. The deep ocean does not resist night. It welcomes it as a deeper layer of stillness. Imagining this can gently guide the mind toward rest, allowing the idea of night to feel safe and supportive, a time when nothing is expected and nothing needs to happen as the world settles into its quietest rhythm. As night settles more fully, sound becomes even softer. One interesting fact is that human-made noise on the surface decreases significantly at night, and this reduction travels downward through the water. Ships slow or stop, coastal activity quiets, and waves often become more uniform. The deep ocean absorbs this change, becoming even more acoustically calm. Another gentle truth is that many deep-sea animals reduce movement during these hours, conserving energy. Stillness becomes the dominant state. For the listener, this deepening quiet can feel like a signal to let go. The environment offers permission to stop listening for stimulation. Silence here is layered and smooth, without sharp edges. Awareness may begin to settle into the background rather than focusing on details. Thoughts drift more slowly, with longer pauses between them. The deep sea at night does not demand attention. It creates space for rest. This quiet is not empty. It is full of gentle presence, holding everything softly. Imagining this can help the mind release daytime alertness, easing into a state where nothing interrupts and nothing calls for response, allowing rest to arrive naturally and without effort. In this deep-sea night, even light behaves differently. One calming fact is that bioluminescent activity often decreases, with fewer glows appearing and those that do becoming slower and softer. Light becomes rare and brief, like distant stars fading behind clouds. Another gentle truth is that creatures that do move tend to do so carefully, without sudden bursts. Energy is preserved. The darkness feels complete and uninterrupted. For the listener, this reduced stimulation can feel deeply soothing. The mind no longer needs to track movement or change. Awareness can relax into the steady absence of visual cues. Night here feels like a thick, quiet blanket surrounding everything evenly. Thoughts may become less structured, more dreamlike. The deep ocean does not distinguish sharply between waking and resting. It exists in a continuous state of calm. Imagining this can help the mind drift towards sleep, where boundaries soften and effort fades. The deep-sea night encourages letting go, allowing attention to float gently without direction, supported by an environment that remains constant, quiet, and reassuring. As the night deepens further, time itself seems to slow. One fascinating fact is that in the deep ocean, changes that mark night on land, such as temperature drops or light shifts, barely register. This creates a prolonged sense of night that is unbroken and gentle. Another calming truth is that deep-sea life does not experience sudden awakenings or alarms. There is no sharp contrast between states of activity and rest. Everything transitions gradually. For the listener, this can feel like an invitation to release the need for a clear cutoff between day and sleep. Rest can arrive slowly, without a signal or command. Awareness may begin to drift naturally, without effort to fall asleep. The deep-sea night supports this by offering continuity rather than interruption. Thoughts may fade in and out softly, like distant echoes that never fully form. The body responds by loosening, sinking into stillness. The deep ocean at night does not rush toward morning. It lingers comfortably in quiet. Imagining this can help the listener feel safe staying in this restful state, knowing there is no urgency to wake or act, only the gentle flow of time moving quietly onward. In this extended night, even the idea of vigilance fades. One important fact is that many deep-sea animals rely on stillness as their primary state, especially during quieter periods. There is little scanning, little alertness. The environment itself provides safety through stability. Another gentle truth is that because threats are rare and movement is limited, there is no need for constant readiness. For the listener, this can feel deeply comforting. The mind may release its habit of monitoring and anticipating. Attention softens, no longer anchored to thought. The deep sea night allows awareness to rest without guarding itself. Breathing becomes slow and rhythmic. Muscles release their hold. The quiet is steady and reliable. Imagining this can ease lingering tension, encouraging the nervous system to shift fully into rest. The deep ocean does not wake suddenly. It remains calm throughout the night, offering a consistent environment where nothing changes abruptly. This consistency supports deep relaxation, allowing sleep to approach gently, without being chased or forced. At the deepest point of this ocean night, everything feels settled and complete. One final fact rests quietly here. The deep sea remains in this night-like state for most of its existence, undisturbed by daily cycles. Life has adapted to this constant quiet, finding balance within it. For the listener, this can feel like permission to rest deeply. There is no need to stay alert. Nothing is approaching. The night holds steady. Awareness may drift freely, unbound by thought or time. The deep ocean continues its quiet presence, unchanged and supportive. Breathing remains slow. The body feels heavy and relaxed. The mind no longer searches for meaning or direction. The deep sea night does not signal an ending. It simply continues, calm and unbroken, allowing awareness to remain suspended within its quiet embrace, where rest feels natural, time feels distant, and nothing interrupts the gentle stillness that carries the journey onward into deeper relaxation. Far beneath the surface, the deep ocean remains a place humans rarely touch, visit, or alter. One calming fact is that more than 80% of the ocean has never been directly explored by people, and most of its deepest regions remain unchanged by human activity. Our ships pass above, satellites observe from space, yet the deep continues quietly below, untouched and unconcerned. This distance matters. It means that the rhythms of the deep ocean are not shaped by schedules, traffic, or constant use. There are no footprints, no roads, no lights left on. For the listener, imagining this untouched world can create a gentle emotional separation from everyday demands. Problems tied to emails, deadlines, and noise feel far away here. The deep ocean does not know our names or worries. It continues as it always has, steady and indifferent in the most comforting way. Awareness may begin to loosen its grip on daily concerns, realizing how small and temporary they are compared to a place that exists beyond constant human presence. The deep sea offers space that is not crowded by expectation or interruption, allowing the mind to step back, breathe more slowly, and rest within a world that remains largely undisturbed, quiet, and free from the marks of ordinary human urgency. In this vast separation, stillness feels protected, as if the deep itself gently shields calm spaces where nothing asks for attention, response, or explanation, and where time continues without noticing us at all, ever, in quiet distance. As we linger in this quiet depth, it becomes clear how little we influence what happens here. One interesting fact is that only a small number of crewed or robotic dives have ever reached the deepest parts of the ocean, and even those visits were brief. Most of the deep sea has never been seen directly by human eyes. Another calming truth is that when humans do visit, the environment often returns to stillness almost immediately after they leave. There is no lasting presence, no ongoing disturbance. Life below continues as if nothing happened. For the listener, this can feel reassuring. It means the deep ocean exists beyond observation and judgment. It does not respond to trends, opinions, or attention. Awareness may begin to feel less self-conscious, less observed. The deep sea does not watch back. It simply exists. This absence of interaction creates emotional distance from performance and expectation. Nothing here needs to be documented or improved. The deep ocean remains uninterested in productivity. Imagining this can help the mind release the pressure of being seen or evaluated. Thoughts soften when they are no longer performing. The deep sea holds its privacy completely, offering a place where existence does not require explanation. This sense of anonymity can feel deeply calming, allowing awareness to rest without needing to define itself, measured not by output or visibility, but by quiet presence alone. The further we imagine drifting, the clearer it becomes that human influence fades quickly with depth. One fascinating fact is that most pollution, noise, and activity remains concentrated near the surface. By the time water reaches the deep ocean, it has filtered and softened much of what came from above. Another gentle truth is that many deep-sea environments remain chemically stable, untouched by daily human fluctuations. This stability allows life to continue without constant adjustment. For the listener, this separation can feel like relief. The deep ocean does not react to news cycles or economic shifts. It does not speed up or slow down in response to human emotion. Awareness may begin to settle into a similar neutrality, releasing the habit of reacting to every change. The deep sea offers a reminder that not everything is connected to immediate human concerns. Some places exist beyond our reach, continuing quietly regardless of what happens above. This can create emotional space, allowing worries to loosen their hold. The mind may feel permission to step outside its usual loops, resting within a broader perspective where personal challenges feel lighter and less urgent. The deep ocean remains steady, offering distance not as isolation, but as comfort, creating room for calm thought and quiet presence to emerge naturally. As this distance deepens, even the idea of control begins to fade. One important fact is that humans cannot shape or manage the deep ocean in any meaningful way. Its pressure, darkness, and scale place it beyond routine intervention. Another calming truth is that this lack of control protects the deep sea, allowing it to remain as it has been for ages. For the listener, this can feel unexpectedly soothing. There is comfort in knowing that some places are not governed, scheduled, or optimized. The deep ocean does not need to be managed. It simply continues. Awareness may begin to release its need to control outcomes. Thoughts can slow when there is nothing to fix. The deep sea exists without instruction or supervision. It follows its own quiet order. Imagining this can help the mind rest from decision-making. There are no choices to make here, no actions required. The deep ocean does not respond to effort. It invites acceptance. This acceptance can spread inward, allowing attention to settle without striving. The deep sea offers a place where letting go feels natural, where calm exists without being created, and where presence is enough without direction or intent. With this growing distance, everyday concerns begin to lose their weight. One fascinating fact is that many deep-sea creatures have never encountered anything human-made. Their world is shaped entirely by natural processes. Another gentle truth is that this separation has allowed the deep ocean to remain one of the most consistent environments on Earth. For the listener, this consistency can feel grounding. It suggests a reality that does not fluctuate with mood or circumstance. Awareness may begin to anchor itself in this steadiness, releasing emotional turbulence. The deep ocean does not respond to stress. It absorbs nothing from above. Imagining this can help the mind set worries down gently, knowing they do not follow into this depth. The deep sea creates a buffer between inner experience and external noise. It offers a sense of emotional quiet, where thoughts are allowed to slow and settle without interruption. This distance is not cold or empty. It is protective. It allows calm to exist without being challenged. The deep ocean remains untouched not because it resists change, but because it exists beyond the reach of constant influence, offering a place where stillness remains intact and unpressured. At the deepest point of this reflection, the sense of separation feels complete. One final fact rests quietly here. The deep ocean continues its rhythms whether or not humans notice, study, or understand them. It does not require acknowledgement to exist fully. For the listener, this can feel deeply freeing. There is relief in knowing that presence does not depend on attention. Awareness may relax completely, no longer pulled toward problems or plans. The deep sea remains calm and distant, holding its silence without effort. The journey continues within this quiet separation, where human concerns feel far away and softened, and where the mind can remain suspended in a place untouched by urgency, expectation, or demand, resting comfortably within the vast, undisturbed calm that continues on its own, steady and unchanged, as attention drifts gently onward, supported by distance, quiet, and the enduring stillness of a world that remains largely beyond our reach. Far below the surface, the deep ocean reminds us that much of the world remains unexplained, and that this is not a problem to solve. One calming fact is that scientists estimate we have identified only a small portion of deep-sea species, with many forms of life still completely unknown. New creatures are discovered regularly, often in places that have never been visited before. This lack of complete understanding does not disrupt the deep ocean. Life continues without needing to be named, categorized, or explained. For the listener, this can feel quietly reassuring. The unknown here is not threatening. It is simply unobserved. The deep sea exists comfortably without answers, moving slowly through time without concern for clarity. Awareness may begin to release the habit of trying to define everything. Thoughts soften when they no longer need resolution. The deep ocean offers a model of peace rooted in acceptance rather than certainty. Mystery is not treated as danger. It is treated as space. Imagining this can help the mind rest, allowing unanswered questions to remain unanswered without tension. The deep does not rush to reveal itself. It invites patience, showing that not knowing can be a stable and calm state, one where existence continues smoothly without explanation or urgency, held gently within darkness and depth. As we drift further into this unknown world, it becomes clear how much remains beyond human reach. One interesting fact is that even with modern technology, vast areas of the deep ocean have never been mapped in detail. Mountains, valleys, and ecosystems exist there without ever being seen. Another calming truth is that this lack of knowledge does not hinder the balance of the environment. The ocean does not wait for discovery. It functions quietly on its own terms. For the listener, this can feel like permission to stop seeking constant understanding. The deep sea does not demand comprehension to be whole. Awareness may begin to loosen its grip on explanation. Thoughts can exist without being analyzed. The mind does not need to solve or label every sensation. The unknown becomes a gentle presence rather than a source of anxiety. The deep ocean shows that stability does not depend on clarity. It depends on consistency. Imagining this can help the listener feel at ease with uncertainty, allowing curiosity to exist without pressure. Mystery here is calm and spacious, offering room to rest rather than questions to chase, supporting a sense of peace that comes from letting things simply be. In this depth, even scientific knowledge moves slowly. One fascinating fact is that many deep-sea processes unfold over such long timescales that they resist easy study. Chemical changes, biological growth, and geological movement often take decades or centuries to observe. Another gentle truth is that this slowness protects the deep ocean from overinterpretation. Not everything needs immediate explanation. For the listener, this offers a powerful lesson. Life does not require instant answers to remain meaningful. Awareness may begin to slow its pace, releasing the urge to understand quickly. The deep ocean encourages a softer relationship with curiosity. Questions can remain open without creating discomfort. Thoughts may drift gently, no longer pulled toward resolution. The mind can rest within wonder rather than analysis. The unknown here feels wide and forgiving. It does not close in. It opens outward. Imagining this can help attention relax, allowing space for quiet observation without judgment. The deep sea teaches that understanding can be partial and still enough, and that mystery does not interrupt calm. It coexists with it naturally, offering a sense of ease rooted in patience and acceptance. As we remain in this quiet depth, the unknown begins to feel familiar. One important fact is that many deep-sea creatures live their entire lives without ever encountering change or novelty. Their environment remains consistent, even if it is largely unexplored by humans. Another calming truth is that predictability does not require full knowledge. The deep ocean remains stable even when much of it is unseen. For the listener, this suggests that comfort does not depend on knowing everything. Awareness may begin to trust the present moment without needing to explain it. The mind can settle into sensation rather than thought. The unknown becomes part of the background, not something to confront. The deep ocean does not fear what it does not reveal. It simply continues. Imagining this can help release mental tension built around uncertainty. Questions can remain gently unanswered, floating without weight. The deep sea offers an example of how mystery can exist peacefully alongside order. This balance can feel deeply calming, encouraging the listener to let go of the need for constant clarity and instead rest within a quiet acceptance that feels steady and supportive. Deeper still, mystery becomes an ordinary part of existence. One fascinating fact is that even familiar deep-sea environments can behave in ways scientists do not fully predict. Yet these variations rarely disrupt overall balance. Another gentle truth is that life here adapts without understanding why things work, simply responding calmly to what is present. For the listener, this can feel liberating. It suggests that not all understanding needs to come before action or rest. Awareness may begin to disengage from mental effort. The mind can stop reaching and start resting. The unknown no longer feels like a gap to fill. It feels like space to relax into. The deep ocean does not explain itself, and it does not need to. It exists comfortably within its own mystery. Imagining this can help the listener accept uncertainty without resistance. Thoughts soften, becoming less demanding. Attention drifts more freely, no longer anchored to explanation. The deep sea shows that peace can exist alongside unanswered questions, and that letting mystery remain untouched can be deeply calming, allowing awareness to settle into a state of gentle openness without strain. At the deepest point of this reflection, the unknown feels complete and safe. One final fact rests quietly here. The deep ocean will likely remain partly unexplored forever, not because it resists understanding, but because it does not require it. For the listener, this can feel deeply reassuring. There is no obligation to know everything. Awareness can rest without resolution. The deep sea holds its mysteries gently, without tension. The journey continues within this acceptance, where questions fade into quiet presence and curiosity softens into calm. The unknown remains, but it no longer asks anything. It simply exists, steady and vast, allowing awareness to float within it comfortably, supported by the understanding that not knowing is not emptiness, but a peaceful space where the mind can rest, unburdened by the need to define, explain, or conclude, as everything continues onward in quiet balance and gentle stillness. As everything we have drifted through begins to settle, the deep ocean no longer feels distant or vast, but close and quietly familiar. We have moved through darkness, stillness, pressure, time, and mystery, and now all of it rests together in one calm place. One grounding truth about the deepest parts of the Earth is that they represent the quietest environment our planet offers. There is no wind, no weather, no sudden change. The deep holds steady, creating a sense of complete rest. Here, nothing needs attention. Nothing is unresolved. The ocean does not ask questions or seek answers. It simply exists, balanced and whole. For the listener, this moment mirrors the feeling just before sleep, when thoughts slow and the body feels heavy and supported. Awareness no longer needs to travel. It can remain still. The deep ocean becomes a place to rest within, not to explore further. Breathing naturally softens. Muscles release without instruction. The mind stops reaching forward. This depth is not empty. It is full of quiet presence. Everything we have encountered now feels layered beneath awareness, forming a gentle foundation. The surface world, with its noise and urgency, feels far away and unimportant. What remains is a sense of grounding, as if resting on the most stable part of the earth itself. In this place, It is safe to stop thinking, safe to pause, safe to let awareness settle completely into the calm that has been waiting patiently all along. As this stillness deepens, time loses its edges. The deep ocean does not measure moments the way we do. There is no countdown, no signal to move on. One comforting fact is that the deepest environments remain unchanged for long stretches, offering a sense of permanence rarely felt elsewhere. This steadiness allows the body and mind to relax fully. Nothing is about to happen. Nothing needs to be prepared for. For the listener, this can feel like permission to rest deeply, without concern for what comes next. Thoughts may continue to appear, but they arrive more slowly now, softer and less defined. They no longer need to be followed. They can drift past like distant currents, unnoticed and unimportant. The deep ocean holds them without reaction. Awareness sinks gently into the background, supported by a sense of quiet continuity. The rhythm here is slow and forgiving. Each breath feels unhurried. Each pause feels complete. The environment does not demand alertness. It encourages release. This is the kind of quiet that does not feel empty, but protective, wrapping awareness gently from all sides. In this space, rest is not something to achieve. It is something that naturally happens when nothing interrupts. The deep ocean remains present and unchanged, offering its calm freely, allowing the listener to remain here comfortably, suspended in a moment that does not move forward or backward, but simply holds. The weight of the ocean above no longer feels distant. It feels supportive, like a steady presence that keeps everything contained. One gentle truth is that the deep ocean supports itself effortlessly. Pressure, darkness, and time coexist in balance. Nothing strains. Nothing collapses. This balance is what makes rest possible here. For the listener, this can feel like being held in a way that requires no effort in return. The body responds naturally to this sense of support, releasing tension that may have gone unnoticed. The mind follows, loosening its grip on structure and thought. Awareness becomes soft and wide. The deep ocean does not rush sleep, but it creates the conditions where sleep can arrive on its own. The stillness feels complete, without gaps or interruptions. There is no sense of falling, only settling. The world above continues, but it feels separate now, distant and muted. Here, nothing competes for attention. Nothing calls the mind back. This depth offers a place where awareness can safely drift inward, guided by the steady presence of the earth itself. The deep ocean becomes a resting place not just for the body, but for thought, memory, and emotion, allowing everything to slow together, supported by a calm that has existed long before and will continue long after this moment passes. As awareness rests here, the idea of effort begins to fade entirely. The deep ocean does not require participation. It does not ask to be understood or navigated. It simply remains. One calming truth is that the deepest quiet on earth exists without intention. It is not created. It is inherent. For the listener, this can feel deeply reassuring. Rest does not need to be earned. It can be accepted. Thoughts no longer need to organize themselves. They can dissolve naturally, leaving behind a gentle awareness that feels unburdened. The deep ocean holds this state patiently, without shifting or changing. Breathing becomes slow and automatic. The body feels warm and heavy, as if settling into the most comfortable position. The mind no longer scans or anticipates. It rests. This is not a transition into sleep that needs to be managed. It is a drifting, a soft lowering into a quieter state. The deep ocean mirrors this perfectly, offering an environment where nothing moves quickly and nothing interrupts. The sense of being held grows stronger, replacing any lingering alertness with a calm certainty. Everything needed for rest is already present. There is nothing to adjust, nothing to improve. Awareness can remain exactly as it is, floating gently within the deepest quiet the earth has to offer. In this final depth, everything feels complete. The journey downward no longer feels like movement, but like arrival. One grounding fact is that the deep ocean remains one of the most stable places on the planet, unchanged by surface events and human schedules. This stability allows awareness to rest without fear of disruption. For the listener, this can feel like reaching a place where nothing can intrude. The outside world feels distant and unimportant. Concerns lose their urgency. Thoughts soften into impressions, then fade altogether. The deep ocean does not rush the mind towards sleep, but it removes everything that keeps it awake. Silence is steady. Darkness is gentle. Time stretches wide. The body responds by releasing fully, no longer holding tension or expectation. Awareness drifts naturally toward rest, supported by an environment that asks for nothing. This is a place where stillness feels safe, where quiet feels full, and where nothing needs to happen next. The deep ocean remains present, offering its calm as long as needed. There is no signal to leave, no reason to return upward. Awareness can remain here comfortably, settling into a state where rest feels natural, unforced, and complete, held by the quiet patience of the Earth's deepest place. As the deep ocean continues its quiet presence, you may find that your attention has already begun to fade into rest. There is nothing you need to do now. The calm you have followed downward remains with you, steady and supportive. If sleep comes, it arrives gently, without being invited. If you remain awake, the quiet is still enough to hold you. You can allow this moment to continue for as long as it needs to, knowing that the deep ocean does not change and does not hurry. If you would like, you can let your breathing guide you further into this stillness, noticing how each breath feels slower and softer than the last. And when you are ready, whether now or later, you can simply let go, trusting that rest will continue on its own. The deepest quiet on earth remains beneath everything, steady and patient, offering a place of grounding and calm whenever you return, allowing the mind and body to settle fully, gently, and without effort into rest.